Hello students, today we are going to start the lesson Jane Eyre at Lowood Institution by Charlotte Bronte. Charlotte Bronte has published a novel Jane Eyre and this lesson is taken from the same novel. I am going to explain the lesson. You have to read the lesson once again from the book given in the video. Jane Eyre was sent to Lowood Institution. One day, Mr. Brocklehurst, the owner of the Lowood School, visited the school. And when Jane see him and think, why is he here? She was scared and due to fear dropped her sleep. Mr. Brocklehurst see her and tells her, how careless you are. Come to the front. I have something to say about you. Mr. Brocklehurst is telling other people about Jane that she looked like an ordinary child, but that's not true. Now he is warning everyone that everyone avoid her. Teachers keep a watch at her and told me that she is ungrateful, she is not kind and also tell lies, and no one will talk to her for the rest of the day. After the school, she was over at 5 o'clock and everyone went to refector, means a room where food is served, to have a tea. She was very much nervous and she sat in corner. She was feeling alone in the institution as everyone was informed that she is very unkind, but actually that is not true. She was feeling very low as her friend Helen Burns was not there and started crying. Before coming to the institution, she planned many things that she will be very good, will learn many things and make many friends. And then some happened on very first day of the school, but after Mr. Brocklehurst informed everyone about her and now she was left alone and she thinks that will I have a rise more. Now, as she was left alone, she wished to die. I have no one with me and cries at the same time. Someone is coming. It was Helen Byrne. She took coffee and bread for her. Helen asked her to come eat for some, but she refused as she started crying. So Helen sat near her quietly. Then Jane started to speak. She says, Helen, why do you stay with a girl whom everyone believes to be a liar? Then Helen tells her that only 80 people heard about you, not everyone. There are millions of people in the world. Jane says, I have nothing to do with millions. I have to live with the 80 people. Helen says, Jane, you are thinking wrong. Not everyone dislikes you. Many feel sad about you as you are left alone. She tells, when Mr. Brocklehurst told such things about me, how can someone feel pity about me? Helen tells her that Mr. Brocklehurst is not even liked her, and if he would have treated you in good way, so then also everyone will be your enemies. Now as he is talking negative about you, so everyone will sympathize you, and after some time everything will be alright if she continued to be good with others. Jane, if the entire world hated you but you know that you are good, so of course you are going to be good in the world, believe yourself. Now Jane tell, if no one loves me, that I should rather die. I cannot bear to be hated. If I get some affection from you on Miss Temple or anyone, I can do anything of them. Helen say, her Jane, you think too much. I know you are innocent. Mr. Brocklehurst told all those things because you aren't said those things to him. They were now sitting quietly, and then only another person came. It was Miss Temple, their teacher. She said, I came here to find you, Jane Eyre. She wanted you to take Jane and Helen to her room. They takes them to her apartment. When they reached there, the atmosphere was very good. Miss Temple asked Helen to sit on a chair and she sit on another. And she called Jane to near her. Now they started talking. Miss Temple is asking Jane that it is all over, have cried all your grief away. Jane tells her, I am afraid I never shall do that mean they cannot tell anything because all those things that Mr. Brocklehurst told were wrong and all the teachers and everyone thinks that I am not a good person. So Miss Temple says that we will not believe what others are saying. We will believe that you will prove yourself you behave like a good girl. So everyone will believe that you are a good girl. Now Jane feels good as Miss Temple helps her and believes her. She asked about the lady when Mr. Brocklehurst was talking about who helps you. Now Jane tells everything about Mr. Reed, who is she and how his behavior. Then Miss Temple explained her that even a criminal get a chance to speak in own defense and you are innocent so you must defend yourself. Now Jane prepared herself and told everything about her to Mr. Temple. As she continued telling all the things, she thought that Mr. Temple believed her. After that, as Jane mentioned about Mr. Lloyd, Miss Temple said that she will ask about everything from Mr. Lloyd. If she will say all the things that Jane said are correct, so all the charges that are there on Jane will be cleaned. After that, Miss Temple kissed Jane and started talking to Helen. She asked Helen about her cough and about the pain in her chest. After that, she said, you are my two guests, so I must treat you well. She asked Barbara to get tea for all of them. Barbara thought tea and toast for all of them, and by the pleasing fragrance, Jane is starting feeling hungry. They went to table, had tea and toast. Miss Temple also served big slices of cake to them. After that, they again came back to the fireplace and then Miss Temple and Helen started talking. After that, the bell rang for bedtime. Then Miss Temple embraced them both and said, God bless you, my children. After a week, Miss Temple received Mr. Lloyd's answer. She returned to Mr. Lloyd. She assembled the whole school and announced that Jane was innocent. All the things said by Mr. Brocklehurst were wrong. All the teachers then shook hands with Jane and kissed her, and all were happy. After that, Jane started working hard and she got success and she was promoted to next class. Now she is very relaxed and her thoughts are changing. She has a habit of imagining things, especially about the food, but that night she imagined something different about big houses and also about translating French stories that Madame Pierrot had shown her that day. Now she thinks that there might be lack of basic things. She would not leave Lowood. This is the best place for her. In this lesson, we learn that even after facing many difficulties, Jane was happy at the end as she kept trying. Now, the summary of the lesson is also given, so read it for better understanding, and the animation video is also provided for the explanation.
Air, the half hour ended. 5 o'clock struck. School was dismissed, and all were gone in to the refectory to tea. It was deep dusk. I retired into a corner and sat down on the floor. The spell by which I had been so far supported began to dissolve. Reaction took place, and soon, so overwhelming was the grief that seized me that I sank prostrate with my face to the ground. Now I wept. I had meant to be so good and to do so much at Lowood, to make so many friends, to earn respect and win affection. Already I had made visible progress. That very morning I had reached the head of my class. Miss Miller had praised me warmly. Miss Temple had smiled appreciatively. She had promised to teach me drawing and to even let me learn French. I was also well received by my fellow pupils and treated as an equal by those of my own age. Now, here I lay, again crushed and trodden on. Could I ever rise more? Never.
Come, eat something. I put both away.
Feeling as if a drop or a crumb would choke me, I continued to weep aloud. Helen sat down on the ground near me, embraced her knees with her arms, and rested her head upon them and sat silently. I was the first who spoke. Helen, why do you stay with a girl whom everybody believes to be a liar?
Everybody, Jane? Why? There are only 80 people who have heard you called so, and the world contains hundreds of millions.
But what have I to do with millions? The 80 I know despise me.
Jane, you are mistaken. Probably not one in the school either despises or dislikes you. Many, I'm sure, pity you much.
How can they pity me after what Mr. Brocklehurst has said?
Mr. Brocklehurst is not even liked here. Had he treated you as a special favorite, you would have found enemies, declared or covert, all around you. As it is, the greater number would offer you sympathy if they dared. Teachers and pupils may look coldly at you for a day or two, but friendly feelings are concealed in their hearts. And if you persevere in doing well, these feelings will ere long appear much more evidently, especially after their temporary suppression. Besides, Jane,
Well, Helen,
if the entire world hated you and believed you to be wicked, while your own conscience approved you and absolved you from guilt, you would not be without friends.
no, I know I should think well of myself, but that is not enough. If others do not love me, I would rather die than live. I cannot bear to be solitary and hated. To gain some real affection from you or Miss Temple or any other whom I truly love, I would willingly submit to have the bone of my arm broken, or to let a bull toss me, or...
Hush, Jane, you think too much. I know you are innocent of this charge, which Mr. Brocklehurst has weakly and pompously repeated at second hand from Mrs. Reed, for I read sincerity in your eyes.
I came on purpose to find you, Jane Eyre. I want you in my room, and as Helen Burns is with you, she may too.
We followed the superintendent's guidance and crossed some intricate passages before we reached her apartment. It contained a good fire and looked cheerful. Miss Temple told Helen Burns to be seated in a low armchair on one side of the hearth and herself taking another. She called me to her side.
Is it all over? Have you cried your grief away?
I'm afraid I never shall do that.
Why?
Because I have been wrongly accused, and you, ma'am, and everybody else will now think me wicked.
We shall think you what you prove yourself to be, my child. Continue to act as a good girl, and you will satisfy us.
Shall I, Miss Temple?
You will. Now, tell me, who is the lady whom Mr. Brocklehurst called your benefactress?
Mrs. Reed, my uncle's wife. My uncle is dead, and he left me to her care.
Did she not then adopt you of her own accord?
No, ma'am. She was sorry to have to do it. I have often heard that my uncle got her to promise before he died that she would always keep me.
Well, Jane, when a criminal is accused, he is always allowed to speak in his own defense. You have been charged with falsehood. Defend yourself to me as well as you can. Say whatever your memory suggests is true, but add nothing and exaggerate nothing.
I resolved in the depth of my heart that I would be moderate, most correct. Having reflected a few minutes to arrange coherently what I had to say, I told her the story of my sad childhood. Exhausted by emotion, my language was more subdued than it generally was when it developed sad theme. And mindful of Helen's warning against the indulgence of resentment, I infused into the narrative far less of gall and wormwood than ordinary. I felt as I went on that Miss Temple fully believed me. In the course of the tale, I had mentioned Mr. Lloyd as having come to see me after the fit, for I never forgot the frightful episode of the Red Room, when Mrs. Reed had locked me in the dark and haunted chamber. After I finished, Miss Temple regarded me for a few minutes.
I know something of Mr. Lloyd. I shall write to him. If his reply agrees with your statement, you shall be publicly cleared from every imputation. To me, Jane, you are clear now. How are you tonight, Helen? Have you coughed much today?
Not quite so much, I think, ma'am.
And the pain in your chest?
It is a little better.
But you too are my visitors tonight. I must treat you as such.
Miss Temple asked Barbara to get tea for all of us. Soon Barbara came in with a tray. How fragrant the steam of the beverage was, and the scent of the toast. However, to my dismay, for I was beginning to feel hungry, I discerned only a very small portion. Miss Temple discerned it too.
Fortunately, I have it in my power to supply deficiencies for this once.
Having invited Helen and me to approach the table, and placing before each of us a cup of tea with one delicious but thin morsel of toast, Miss Temple took out a good-sized seed cake and proceeded to cut generous slices. We satisfied our famished appetites on the delicate fare she liberally supplied. After tea was over and the tray had been removed, Miss Temple again summoned us to the fire. We sat on each side of her, and now a conversation followed between her and Helen. It was indeed a privilege to be admitted to hear such a conversation. They conversed of things I had never heard of, what stores of knowledge they possessed. When the bell announced bedtime, Miss Temple embraced us both, saying as she drew us to her heart,
God bless you, my children.
About a week after this, Miss Temple, who had written to Mr. Lloyd, received his answer. Miss Temple, having assembled the whole school, announced that an inquiry had been made into the charges alleged against me, and that she was most happy to be able to pronounce me completely cleared from every charge. The teachers then shook hands with me and kissed me, and a murmur of pleasure ran through the ranks of my companion. Thus relieved of a grievous load, I, from that hour, set to work afresh. I toiled hard and my success was proportionate to my efforts. In a few weeks, I was promoted to a higher class. That night, on going to bed, I forgot to prepare in imagination the Barmecide supper of hot roast potatoes or white bread and fresh milk, with which I was wont to amuse my inward cravings. Instead, I feasted on the spectacle of freely penciled houses and trees and picturesque rocks and ruins, and examined, in thought, the possibility of translating the French story which Madame Pierrot had shown me that day. I would not now have exchanged Lowood with all its privations for Gateshead and its daily luxuries.